Guess what? There is a Republican in the Providence mayor's race. You're going to meet him tonight. Welcome to My State of Mind. I am Dan York. Yes, Dan Harrop is my guest. He tried in 2006 and got about 16% of the vote. I think he took a break in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's here for 2014. And he's got all sorts of charts. We got charts tonight. We're going to show you charts of finances and stuff like that. But, of course, we'll keep it conversational, and we'll figure out whether he's got a chance in heck of making any waves in what is now a very high-profile race for that particular position. So stay tuned for that and your state of mind and all that we have to offer here in this very quick moving half hour on MyRI TV. Let's go to the rundown and tease out some of the things that I got to make a point here. A little humility goes a long way in media. The candidates are playing nice right now with their ads. I don't know how long that's going to go, but one of them has gotten a little big for her britches, it seemed to me, at least with the latest television ad. We'll play it and get your reaction on your state of mind. We've got a lot of reaction on the radio today. This is a little sticky, and this is just too funny. I mean, the whole soccer thing is cracking me up anyway. But very, very upset people in Brazil. Let's dig in a little bit and see if we can break some stuff down. Kevin at the helm, hiding the mistake. Yeah, okay, so Jess, my esteemed producer, in our early conversations on email this morning says, okay, you got to make a correction from last night. And then in correction, it's about this guy. This guy's name is Jim Purcell. He's from Louisiana. He's the brand new post-secondary education commissioner in Rhode Island, and he's got a $175,000 salary. And last night, I actually should have played the highlights from last night, but I'll tell you what I said last night. I went, what? When I saw this headline, not that he's making 175 G's, that didn't bother me, but this whole notion of an annuity. We highlight from that story what was inside that story. What was inside that story? Yes. Inside that story was this paragraph. In addition to the 175 G's, his 2-year contract, excuse me, entitles him to $15,000 in biweekly payments, or $390,000 per year, in an annual annuity. And I said to you last night, I've never seen a public contract the likes of which that had that kind of annuity. Now, I trusted the Providence Journal to be correct. That's my bad because I have the ultimate responsibility for this show. So Jess writes me this note today, so you're going to have to correct that. I said, what? I didn't see any corrections in the paper today. Oh, yeah, they had one. Here it is. This little bitty thing. Now, if I could just show, because I was just brainstorming with Kevin just prior to the show. You mind if I just grab my iPad here for a second? You know how they do these? So they write these big stories. Hold on here. 1, 2, 3 is my code. Hold on a second. Okay, so let me show you this. This is my journal thing that I get on my iPad. This replicates the newspaper itself. I don't know how close we can get to that. Oh, I screwed up. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay. Here's the whole newspaper. Let me widen that out a little bit, okay? This is today's newspaper. The story that we showed you was like a big story on page A5. The correction on a $390,000 journalistic mistake is down in here. Any way that we can get that? Does that make any sense to you? Can you see it? Did we screw this up with the lights? Oh, there you go. Which way? This way? Where you want to go? This way, Kev? This is a late-minute brainstorm. You see this little thing down here? Hold on. I'll get this. This little tiny corrections thing that everybody misses. No matter what mistake the journal makes, let's go back to the camera. It's live TV. What can I tell you? No matter what little mistake big mistake the journal makes, it's always this little tiny correction. I think it's bad form for newspapers and for the journal in general. $390,000 assertion. The next day it's like, psst. That's like me saying I made a mistake. But let me just whisper it. I'm going to whisper it here. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. It's not right. So anyway, the guy's making $15,000 a year in his annuity, which makes a whole bunch of sense. So I apologize, Yos, for making that mistake last night. And, in Jersey, they've got a word for it. You messed up. You trusted the journal. Anyway, let's go to it's really about the correction. Mistakes happen. So you got to take ownership for your mistakes. That's my point. All right. I think I've gone far enough on that one, don't you think? Playing nice. They are. Now, I do use the Journal for attribution. They made a nice point on their front page today about the ads that the gubernatorial campaigns are running right now. Here's a little montage of their positive ads. This first one is Angel Tavares, and he's talking about pre-K and how important that is. Very polished, very high-level ad. And then Clay Pell and his JAG officer friend, who's more or less trying to assert that he'd save your life, even though he's nothing but a lawyer in the Coast Guard. But anyway, sorry. And then the bike ad, which is great. Gina's done a, her people did a, I don't like kids in ads, but if you're going to do it, it's a very cute ad, no doubt. So you've seen those ads on the TV ad nauseum. And I don't know how long they're going to keep playing nice, but they are right now, no doubt, playing nice. But some are, let's put it this way, at least one candidate is gotten a little big for her britches and is beginning to play a little bit of God. Have you seen this one? Now, look, I'll give the Raimondo camp credit because the ad with the father, which made me very uncomfortable, and we got a lot of conversation out of that one. And now the ad with the woman who says the following certainly have a lot of people talking.
I know what it's like to have someone save your life. Twice. When my children and I escaped my violent husband, the Crossroads shelter found us a place to stay. And when I was severely beaten by a landlord, the Rhode Island Crime Victims Fund helped me recover. Gina Raimondo helped expand the Crossroads shelter. And as treasurer, she fixed the Crime Victims Fund. It had a 900 case backlog. Gina saved my life. Twice.
Outrageous. Outrageous. Gina's lost her soul or her mind. Now, is it accurate that those two programs were supported by her? Yes, there's no doubt. She made donations and she helped raise money at the Crossroads, no doubt, on the board. I don't think she was the only board member that helped. And her work with that Victims Fund out of the Treasurer's office, I'm not going to dispute that either. But to have, I hope that woman did that voluntarily. I have no judgment on the woman who says she saved my life twice. I hope they didn't write the script and jam it down her throat. But here's the thing. A little bit of humility goes a long way. I mean, if she's in that ad and the woman says that and she says, oh, golly shucks, I'm just glad to have helped, that's one thing. But to assert that she's a lifesaver, is she a first responder? Is she a military hero? Who is she? Did she jump into a burning building and pull somebody out? I don't think so. You know, these people lose their souls to their creative campaign ad types. And this is an assertion gone just a bit too far. My humble opinion. Your state of mind matters. On the radio today, we had a lot of conversation about it, and she wasn't winning the radio audience, that's for sure. Next item here. This is a little sticky. So back in 2009, according to the headline, old Ray Rickman lent his friend $10,000 in personal funds. Now, Ray's been a lobbyist, a former state representative. He's a, I'd consider him a friend of the program. He has done this swim empowerment thing. We've had him on the show here. We've got pictures of both Gordon and Ray Rickman. Ray was here lobbying for the Davy Loeb's pool to be open, and he's on a program to make people swim proficient, and he's got a public relations campaign, a company that is reportedly very successful, but you can't be loaning reps money if you have any kind of, relationship with state government. Now, Fox was in leadership during this time, was not the Speaker of the House, but he was in leadership, and Ray reportedly forgot he loaned him $10,000. Now, Fox has gotten caught up in all these ethics report problems and just recently revised his report to reflect this loan of more than $1,000. Now we find out it's 10. I'm hoping Ray will come here and kind of clear this whole thing up. I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, but you can't be loaning representatives dough. I don't care how long you've been their mentor and how much they needed the money. Poor Gordon Fox is going through a lot of humiliation here, isn't he, with all these financial and law enforcement matters. And then finally, I left the taping of the program yesterday and walked out in the hallway, and the boss is watching the Germans. At the time, it was 5-0. He was enjoying the heck out of it. I'm thinking, holy cow, I thought Brazil was good. This is the semifinal. And of course, they got waxed. What, 7-1 Brazil did by the Germans? They are a machine, no doubt. Here are some of the headlines. I just really enjoyed this. Look at the people crying in the Brazilian newspaper. Massacre was the word they used. And then in German, what is that? What does that mean? Without words. They're so flummoxed in Germany about what they did. It's a beautiful. Have you had it with this World Cup yet? Just saying. Tom Hanks said there was no crying in baseball. I suggest there should be no crying in soccer. but the world is very emotional about that cup, no doubt. There'll be another day for Brazil. When we come back, he's running for mayor. There's a long list. Stay with us. Yes, there are a slew. Is a slew? Are a slew? I think that's plural of candidates running for mayor in Providence. Here's a list of them. I don't even know who those first two guys are, to be honest with you. Alorza, Smiley, Solomon, and then me running for. Can we put that back up, Kev? Yeah. Can we do that? There we go. Little slip of a button there. I don't know who those first two guys are. I was saying, take two. Alorza, Smiley, and Solomon have all been on this broadcast. Chris Young is coming, I guess, and we'll have to batten down the hatches for that. Lorna Drain has moved into the independent mode, which is a big mistake if he doesn't want Buddy Cianci to win. You may have heard of him, and I don't know who the other guy is either. But Dan Harrop has been around for a while. He's been kind of a staple guy for the Republican Party of the city. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're running why?
I'm running because the Republicans have a certain message they want to get across. We feel that the candidates need to talk about these things, and we feel that the citizens of Providence need to make some serious decisions about where the city is going over the next 4 or 8 years, and we need to have a good discussion of that during the mayoral campaign.
So you're a discussion catalyst as opposed to a serious candidate to win the office?
I'd love to win the office. I'd love to be mayor. I am fully recognized that Providence has 4% registered Republicans, and my chances are not necessarily that good. But I'm hoping to at least get some discussion in the campaign. And now with 4 significant candidates, we don't know what's going to happen.
True. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of well, with a multiplicity of candidates in the general election, anything could happen. You got 16% in 2006.
When I ran against Mayor Cicilline's re-election campaign.
Right, which is not, it's not a completely embarrassing number. I mean, the anti-incumbent is generally going to cause 25, 30%. Were the only one that was running against Cicilline
Yes,
in the
it was
general?
just the two of us.
Okay, but anyway, you're not an unknown quantity. You're just somebody that's kind of been hanging around the fringes of serious conversation here. And so it's always kind of weird to handle a candidacy that doesn't say, I'm here to win, damn it. In a way, I think I like your practical approach. It must be your background, your medical background. You're a psychiatrist.
I'm a
by
psychiatrist
nature,
by
right?
training.
So what's your psychological and psychiatric analysis of the entire election season? It's been a kind of crazy one so far.
It's going to be wild and woolly, I think, now that Mr. Cianci has re-entered the fray.
We'll talk about that. But you wanted to make some points about the conversations that you wanted to actually engage in here. And so why don't we go one by one? Since Dan was good enough to say, can we show some of these charts? I think we shall. Kev, why don't we try that? First one is on the pension liability that the city of Providence has, and though it may be difficult for you to see all of these numbers, we have grown to a $1.2 billion, if I read that correct,
right.
The liability.
The blue is what's funded, what's in the fund.
Right.
The red is what is unfunded, what we owe in the fund. And as you can see, not only does it keep going up and the red get larger, but in the last 3 or 4 years, the blue has gotten smaller. And I think that's to focus on. And that's the key point that the Republicans feel in this election. The city is going bankrupt. And the other candidates are not discussing that at all. When I debate them, I say, all your policies wonderful. Mr. Smiley has dozens of policies on his website. Mr. Solomon wants to build the schools. Mr. Elorza now says we're going to broadband the whole city. None of them are talking about the money and the finances. None of these plans have a financial backing behind them and where it's going to come from.
I always find it kind of interesting that these pension unfunded liabilities are kind of an off conversation in a lot of these races. It's like saying, yeah, my household budget is taken care of. I'm making enough money to pay the bills. But the truth is I'm putting $20 a month down on a credit card or $50 or $100 a month down on a credit card, which is in my budget. But the principal balance is $27,000 and I'm way upside down. There's no way I'm ever going to pay it. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about, and those type of people go bankrupt eventually. Or they have to continue to cut back so much their lives are significantly changed. Already in Providence, we've cut ambulance runs, we've closed schools, we're not repairing schools. Mike Solomon's big idea is to put $250 million into school in 10 years, although he admits We need $1 billion in schools in 10 years. So he's not even going to fund that, his big idea. We don't have money. And what the city really needs to do is go through receivership, bankruptcy, now, to clear a lot of these debts and to start over again, much as Detroit is starting over.
Including the pension unfunded
Including
liability?
Pension liabilities and a lot of the tax stabilizations that were given away as political perks.
We've seen the pain of Central Falls in wiping down a lot of those pensions. I cannot imagine with the width and breadth of retirees and public employees in Providence that is going to be an easy thing. And obviously has not been an easy conversation because it really hasn't been brought up much.
No, and what I tell the people when I speak with them, like the police, is that I'm the only one talking about saving your pensions. I'm not going to be able to save 100% of your pensions. But I told you 8 years ago when I appeared here that we were not going to be able to give you what you were promised. And I was right, and Mayor Cicilline was wrong. Because Mayor Tavares has cut back on their COLAs and cut back on some of this stuff. So the Republicans were correct 8 years ago in that the promises could not be kept. And now we're talking about attempting to save 92, 93% of the pensions. But the more we ignore the problem, the deeper in debt we will get. And you may end up like Central Falls, where people got 50% of their pensions.
A couple other charts and concepts when we come back. Stay with us. So Dr. Dan Harrop here, a psychiatrist by professional trade, needs his head examined to be running for the mayor. I mean, you knew that was coming. But he ran in 06, now he's running in 14. He's trying to create a conversation for things like this. A couple more charts. This one is the annual pension payments with the COLAs. A real quick discussion of that.
Yeah, I put this up because our newest candidate, our former mayor, he wants to run on his record, and this is his record. The fire chief retired at $60,000. He now has a pension of $197,000 because of a cost of living adjustment that our former mayor agreed to in a consent order.
You're talking about Cianci?
Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about Cianci. And the second one is, this is just Moody's cash flow analysis here, and it's not good. The last number reads...
Negatives.
Yeah.
Negatives in the millions.
Yes, okay. So these are just some of the data points that Dan would like to bring up in this conversation. Are you finding with all these arduous neighborhood debates that everybody seems to be going to that people are picking up on this stuff, or is it like over their heads?
No, they are picking up on the stuff. The difficulty is they're having really a problem with accepting the fact that the city is going bankrupt and that nobody has a very good solution to it. I mean, my solution is let's do it now, let's get it over with, let's reboot the city at this particular time, and then we can, start again, and so in 5 or 7 years we'll be fine. The other candidates are still trying to patch together short-term fixes so that we can attempt to avoid this, but there really is no way to avoid it.
Well, talk to me about the politics here. Obviously with Buddy Cianci in the race now, my guess is that come the general election, the Democratic winner will have some momentum of some kind, and the general will be a Buddy anti-Buddy type of race. He's got that much power and influence over the media and the like, and it's hardly avoidable. Where will you be in that conversation? I mean, obviously you're running for the office, and so you're not Buddy, but will you join the rhetoric that way? About him being a litmus test for the future, going backwards, corruption, blah, all that stuff that comes into the mix?
I'm less concerned about some of his felonious stuff as opposed to some of the, I think, incompetence when he was mayor. I think that these finances are not well discussed, and when he says, I did a nice job moving the rivers. Well, okay, and how are you paying for it? Well, we're paying for it now. All that deficit is there, and this is the reason the city is going bankrupt. And he was not a good mayor financially at this particular time. And that's the tack I will take against him. And for the Democrats, they've ignored this problem for years. And they need to begin to address these problems if the city is going to move on.
You got 16% last time. You're putting in, a reasonably large chunk of money yourself. 20, 30 grand is a lot of money for you to invest in this thing. You've raised 50 or 60. You might be more than fringe formidable here. Is there a point where you say, I really am going to go after this thing, or are you just going to be a conversation sponsor?
Well, I think it depends what happens. I think with Buddy entering the race, clearly there's going to be a lot more media attention, and I'm hoping I'll be seen as a much more serious candidate than I was last time. I was running against an incumbent mayor. He had done a reasonable job during his first 4 years at that particular time. I could see with the difficulty getting any traction.
So give me the 30-second thing you want people to leave with tonight about this election and what it means for the city of Providence.
The Republicans have some different ideas on how to run the city. If you don't want the city to still be the old guard, don't vote Democrat, don't vote a former mayor, vote the Republican Party, vote for honest financing in the city, vote for school choice, which is we're the only ones for school choice at this particular time. So vote for a new team to come in to run the city.
All right. Good luck. Well stated.
Thank you.
Pretty clear. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a break and then we'll come back for Your State of Mind. Stay with us. Your State of Mind. You can call me at 228-1886 or email or Facebook or tweet at me. And here's a voicemail from last night.
I have number one statement. If we don't need a lieutenant governor, why don't we just save $1 million instead of giving somebody a job that they don't have to do much with? The second thing is, as far as immigration goes, why is it that nobody is listening to the people? And if we say we don't want any more immigrants, that's exactly what should be happening.
Well, as my father used to say, Barbara, what is this we stuff? The we determination is difficult. Jorge Alorza. Hasta aquí mañana. Good night.